Hi everyone, it's Ray here from City Fan TV. Hope everybody is well this evening. Wednesday evening, 9 in the UK, and we're still locked down. So what we're going to talk about tonight is not a lot, really. City back in training, Pep's looking fat. That's about it. What else can we talk about? We had a good old chat with Cam last night. I hope you caught a bit of that. Good old chat with the Liverpool fan. Propaganda machine, that is Cam. It was a good old chat, and like I said, I think he enjoyed himself, so we'll try and get him back on the channel at some point when this is all over. We'll see. Let's see if anybody's coming on, and if I can get away with a quick stream tonight. Let's have a see. There's not really out to talk about. I've had a look in the usual place of looking on the Manchester Evening News. There's a lot of rubbish out there anyway, you know. We're talking about Leroy Sané. Apparently, I read yesterday that he was offered the number 10, or today, he was offered the number 10 shirts at Bayern Munich. And if that is a good enough reason to go, I don't know what is. Then you're hearing in reports that Bayern Munich want him to take a pay cut because of everything that's going on. Who knows? I mean, you know, is that going to be a spanner in the works? I really don't think so. I think he's off. Let's talk about Inter targeting Sergio Aguero as a Lautaro Martinez replacement. Let's talk about some of the games, if not all the remaining games, being on free to air when the Premier League restarts. That's out there. Are you actually bothered? You know, about that at all? What else? As I said, Pep's looking a bit chunkier. There's reports about when we were looking. This was in the MEN Manchester Evening News about when we were looking at Mbappe. I think City were interested, and Pep certainly was. The season before he had that breakout season, I think City were knocking on the door then, making polite inquiries. Then he had a season at Monaco that just blew everybody out, out of water, and propelled him from a reasonable price of £200 million or 200 million euros. So, is there anything else? Yeah, we had news yesterday that 6 people, not 6 players, 6 people tested positive out of 600 and odd tests. I can't remember the number now. And I think someone at Burnley, Watford had 1 player and 2 staff, and Burnley had a player, and then another club had a couple of people. Obviously, they're not releasing names. I think you can figure it out, if a player's not training and they're not down as injured, if a player's not training, then if there's only 1 missing, then you might be able to work it out. So that's other news as well. What else have we got? There's something in the Mirror where Bernardo Silva's talking about Kylian Mbappe and saying what makes him the best. Really struggling after that. David Silva looks like he is going to sign a short-term contract with City to finish the season with us. Hi, Albert. Yeah, Albert. It's the way it is, mate. Seriously, it's the way it is, And no, I don't believe that, Albert. I mean, obviously, we will find out soon what's going to happen. We're going to find out in June, quite probably, what the Court of Arbitration for Sport say, what their decision is. Is City going to have their 2-year ban upheld? Is it going to be cut to 1 year, or is it going to be completely wiped out? Honestly, I mean, you've got your hopes, your expectations. I don't know where it's going to fall. And I said early on, it seems like the 2-year was there to give Cass an opt-out, as in to say, because I think if it was 1 year, it would have been like, well, there was no halfway house if it was a 1-year ban. and City could have got away with, not say get away with, it could have been exonerated or could have had the ban removed if it was part fault of both or whatever. It wasn't fully found against City. Now with the 2-year ban, it seems like UEFA are offering it there to be for CAS to offer that 1-year halfway house. I think if that comes out, City will take it further. I think it's quite right at some point to take this further. UEFA, as they say, the phrase is as bent as a 2-bob note or 5-bob note, whatever it is. The things that go on in UEFA and FIFA, terrible corruption. You see it, why people like Platini banned from football and Sepp Blatter banned from football and other people done for taking bribes and corruption and stuff. So it is a very dirty, murky world. It's all about money and power, but mostly about money. So I'm not sure. We'll have to obviously wait and see what transpires. And the thing I'm going to talk about actually tonight is the Champions League, because UEFA obviously want to complete the Champions League. They want to get some more of their TV money in from that. I don't know how that's sorted out, because have the TV companies given all the broadcasting money already? UEFA still want more games for sponsors to keep their sponsors happy. The sponsors are not happy. Obviously, they've paid the money to UEFA and they're not getting their name out there. So UEFA are talking about, depends what you read and where you read it, about a tournament in August. Have the final still in Istanbul, I think on the 29th of August. And it might just be get everybody together, play the games. Okay, now it's going to be interesting, because if they do it, I mean, who's to say that UEFA don't say everybody come to Turkey, we'll play all out here, because maybe in other European countries, actually, Turkey doesn't fall into the EU, but anyway, in European countries, they might not be allowed to. They might not be allowed to play games cross-border. They might not be able to allowed to fly teams in, and maybe they think Turkey will be a little bit more lax in the rules. Because, for instance, in this country, in England, for instance, if a team's coming in, if someone's coming in, they're talking from the 1st of June, allegedly, that they're going to have to go to self-isolation or quarantine for 14 days. Well, for argument's sake, you want to play that second leg between Madrid and City. Well, Madrid have to go into quarantine for 14 days, play the game against City, and then go back to Spain. And who knows, they might have to go into quarantine for 14 days there. It ain't going to work. That's when you're going across between countries and traveling there, it's just not going to work. So unless they get all the teams together, they talk about just playing one-legged games, the quarterfinal, semi-final, and obviously the final. That way, quarterfinals, they just have 4 games, semi-final 2, and a final. And you can do that roughly over 3 weeks. Now, it might be, if teams fly into Turkey, that Turkey will say, you don't need any quarantine. You don't need to self-isolate. Maybe they'll do that. You'd expect them not to do that. But maybe by August, things might be a little bit different. We don't know. I suspect it's not going to be different if you've seen the people out and about today. So if you've got that situation where Turkey say you can come and you can play, it might just be that UEFA will say, right, beginning of August, you've got to come to Turkey. You've got a week's warm-up, let's say, in Turkey. Because hopefully by then you'd have finished your season or whatever. But you've got a week's acclimatization, let's call it, in Turkey. You play your first games one weekend, or over, might be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever. The following weekend, you've got 2 games, Saturday and Sunday. And the following weekend, you've got 1 game. Maybe they'll do it that way. And then that way they get the 7 games in, obviously on different days, to allow them to maximize the revenue in terms of sponsorship and advertising and everything else. So maybe they'll go down that route, and maybe they'll do something similar for the Europa League. Something they could. I don't know how many games are left there. Let's say it's about, I think it's a bit more, or about the same. Because obviously there are some clubs like you're not just got the quarterfinals. You've got the round of 16 that haven't been completed, like City versus Real Madrid. So you've got to sort that out as well. That's another big issue. How do you deal with that? Do you then get City and Real Madrid and anybody else who's left in the round of 16? They play their game, let's say on a Wednesday, Tuesday or a Wednesday, and the following weekend you've got your your quarter final. You know, is that enough time to recuperate? Do those clubs who've got a round of 16 still to play have to come a few days earlier? Do they have to come a week earlier and have their their second leg game one weekend, quarter final the next weekend, semi final the next weekend, final the weekend after? But when they come back to the UK or to their home countries, maybe they'll have to do a quarantine for 14 days. So, you know, if you get deep in the Champions League, or let's say you get to the final at the end of August, well, you can't start the next season until at least September. I mean, in what France have said, they can't play anyway till September. The government basically said you can't have professional sports till September. I think the Tour de France is due to start at the end of September and run into October, or is it end of August, run into September? I can't remember now. But so there you have it. I mean, so it's going to be very interesting how that pans out. There's obviously a lot of money at stake, a lot of prestige at stake. It's going to be extremely interesting if City win the Champions League, and then before they even play the rest of the Champions League games, if they get banned by, if the ban is upheld, even for one season, you could get this crazy situation where City win the Champions League and are banned from playing the following season. That's just, it's a crazy thing, situation. But anyway, I'm going to hit the road. There's no one around to chat, so I'm going to hit the road. You guys look after yourselves, and hopefully I'll see you around tomorrow. See you around, Blues.